Hey guys, now we're going to practice the actual application or the actual breathing techniques that I've been talking about. Remember that again, you're looking to feel the external pressure points in your body, and that way you can deal with the internal ones, which are making you feel stiff, tight, and have discomfort. So the first thing I'm going to focus on right now is where the touch of the earth is on my body, which is going to be underneath my hips, underneath my feet. And I'm going to try to come down to the ground into what in yoga they call Shavasana. Shavasana is a very basic but standard position used throughout yoga practices, and it's meant to be applied numerous times during a session, because being on the ground on your back on a firm surface like the ground, even if we have a little mat underneath us, it's still pretty solid, the earth's touch. That allows us to get the most benefit from the pressure points. And so we can actually open the other side of our body with a greater ability to remove pressure. So if that didn't make any sense, what I meant to say is when you have a firmer surface, the pressure points are stronger, and so it allows you to open the other side of your body with more effectively. So what we're going to work on is coming down to the ground. Now there's going to be some difficulty for some of us to come down the ground. If you have a hard time and you have a lot of stiffness in your lower back or neck, it means a lot of pressure from your ribs are going against your spine, okay? So it's okay, we have to understand that that's what's happening for us to change it, to ameliorate. We have to know the problem. We can't ignore it, avoid it, just ash it out as just being age or some injury we suffered 25 years ago. The body is already healed from that. Age doesn't cause issues in your body, only good practices, okay? So if we have some bad habits with the body, that over time adds more pressure and imbalances to your body. So now we have imbalances, okay? It's part of life. It's part of living in gravity, okay? So what we have to do now is try to feel how to release it, how to deal with it. So that's what we're going to practice. Now, when you're coming down, for this first coming down portion, I'm going to show you what it would be like if everything was cool in your back and you're just a little stiff and a little tight, but nothing too bad, okay? So I'll show you that first. What we're going to do, point your toes, bring your inside of your feet together completely so that the heels to the bigger toes are completely flushed together like I'm showing you with my hands, okay? Now, the next thing you're going to do is place your hands together in a prayer position so that the hands become aligned, okay, basically. Now, we're going to point the toes. That makes your knees straighten and become level. When your knees become level, your hips become level. When your hips become level, it allows you to control your rib cage positioning of your ribs back into place. It allows you to put them back into place with a little time and practice. But here's what we're looking to do. Keep your alignment, tuck in your chin. You're going to breathe through your throat. Anytime you feel tension, which is going to be numerous times as you come down, you're going to do a reverse sit-up. Now I place my hands together and I find the center between my legs. That's the middle of my hips. I keep breathing. Tuck in my chin. Keep breathing. Keep reaching with your arms too towards your feet to slow you down. Now once you feel your shoulder blades are on the ground like mine are right now, I'm going to keep looking to see that my ribs and my hips align. If I can't see the middle of my ribs, which is the middle of your chest, then just place one hand there where you find the middle of your chest. Align the two hands together. Now look at your fingers, and they're going to tell you where to place your head, which is a nice straight line with your ribs and your hips. Now the next move is relax your feet. Let them soften. Relax your legs. They're going to naturally turn out to some degree. Don't look at them. Don't worry about it. Whatever is good. Now rest your arms, palms up, elbows down, with the shoulders going away from your neck a little bit. All right, now the first thing we want to focus on as always is the external pressure. So now I feel it all the way from the back of my skull to the back of my feet. I want to relax on it because I'm not moving. I want to let go to it. So I'm just going to relax, which is easy to do pretty much, right? So okay, so that feels pretty good. Now I'm going to focus on the part of my body that doesn't have any external pressure on it, which is the front of my body. And because most of my pressure on my spine comes from the ribs, as they're a very big portion of our body, right? So from the bottom of our neck to right about here, you can see the length and the girth and the width and all that stuff of and size of your ribs in general. It's very big, puts a lot of pressure on your spine. So I'm going to focus on those big guys first before I get to my legs and everything else I want to get to, okay? So while I'm resting down, elbows down, palms up, I'm going to focus on that rib cage breath we talked about earlier. So when I inhale, I'm going to suck in the belly button. Your belly button's already sucked in to a degree because you're laying down. So all you got to do is press it in a little stronger and inhale through your nose with a little bit of effort. It's going to sound like this. As I do that breath, you'll see the bottom of my ribs expand. I'm just holding my air right now, but I'm going to reach with my shoulders a little bit at the same time, gently away from my neck, and turn my palms open towards my thumbs. I hold as long as I can. When I exhale, I'm going to let it out nice and slow. And what you're going to feel is your face and jaw and neck relaxing, your shoulders letting go all the way to your hands, your lower back, hips and legs are all going to release all the way to your feet. It's like a wave-like relaxation that starts at the skull and makes its way to the feet when you exhale. We're going to repeat this breath a few more times, and I'll do 2 of them back to back without talking so you guys can see what I'm talking about. When I'm doing this breathing, what I'm focusing on is being able to guide the breath to my ribs. That's again by sucking in the belly. When you do that, you force your air to go to your rib cage, or you guide it there, right? You guide the air to go to your ribs. So the bottom of your ribs will expand. Now, the rest of my rib cage, as you remember we talked about earlier, it was the middle and the top. The middle is open by your shoulders, your palms turning open towards your thumbs. So when you do that, it pulls the pectoralis muscle towards the shoulder as it's attached here to the humerus, the upper arm bone. You turn it open, and then you unshrug your shoulders so that the top of your ribs, the shoulder girdle here, doesn't put pressure against your neck. So now you're opening your neck, your thoracic spine, which is your rib cage spine, and your lumbar spine, which is the stretch of spine between the ribs and hips, which is your lower back, right? And so you're opening a huge length of your spine just by doing that type of breath. Now, because the breath is about volume, like I said before, you take 800 breaths in an hour or so, right? Roundabout, more or less. That's a lot of chances for you to add each breath to give you some release. So don't expect after one breath you're going to get looser. If you're feeling a lot of tension, rigidity in your body, a lot of stiffness, that means that there's a lot of pressure from your ribs in certain parts of your rib cage against your middle. I want you to think of your front of your spine as the front of your ribs. So your sternum, your breastplate, is actually the front of your spine. And the reason why I say that is because when you want to bend backwards, right, you want to do something where it opens your chest, you have to open your chest to do that. Your spine cannot bend backwards if your chest is pulling in. So if I try to bend backwards here where my chest is sinking in and concave, it won't work. I have to open my chest to be able to lift and open my spine in the front. So your spine, remember, begins at the occiput, the base of your skull. So your jaw, which is really basically right here, it's the top of the gum line. So your jaw is a separate part of your skull that actually just hangs down and is connected by sinew here, muscle, right? So it once we pass on and our skeleton is then decomposing and eaten by bacteria. I'm sorry if that's a spoiler for anybody, but the key is that what will happen is once all the tissue is eaten up, your jaw just falls off. Your actual skull is just this area right here. So your actual spine, your spinal cord, which is the extension of your brain, it's like the tail of the brain. Your spinal cord is kind of like the surge protector that you plug into a wall. And then from there you plug in all these other cords, right? Well, all the other cords are the extensions, the wires that come from your spinal cord. And they all go to every area of your body. They go all the way to the fingertips, tips of your toes, everywhere in between. And they're there again to feel the external pressures and the internal pressures. They're there to pick up pressure. They're not there to pick up whether your knuckle here is hungry. That's your stomach's going to tell you when your cells need food. But your pressure that you're feeling is what is being communicated. That's why we need to have our brain in every section of our body. Your brain is actually here. That's how come I can feel that I'm touching fingers here. It's because my brain actually exists in this area. So if you think of it like that, then every area of your body, externally or internally, needs to communicate to the brain, and we need to feel what's going on because they don't want pressure, those guys, because they need blood flowing to them. And the way that the blood flows to them is when there isn't something stopping the flow of blood. And so cells need us to give body cells need to communicate to the brain cells when there's something stopping the flow of blood. And so we need to have a system that already exists in place for us to tune into to be able to figure out how to remove pressure so the flow of blood can get to the places. Luckily, that's breathing. Breathing is the technique used to remove pressure, okay? So now, earlier I said if you're coming down to the ground, you have a hard time doing that, there's another method. So let's do that one. You're gonna do the same thing with your feet, feet together, flush together. Hands flush together this way, but as you're coming down, if you're not sure you have tension, but you start feeling kind of discomfort or something, then you could always go to one side. I would go away from the side that has the discomfort, so if you're feeling the right side is tight or is giving you pain, go to your left. Now when you place your elbow down, make sure not to push against the ground. You're still reaching with this arm towards your feet, your chin stays tucked in, and you breathe. And you want to just roll on the touch of the earth. All right, and once you're in the middle here, bring your head, keep it in place, bring your hands to the middle, find your center, just like you did before. So that's the abridged version of coming down if you have a lot of tension on your body. Or the alternative method, not the abridged. All right, so we're gonna do some breathing again. Now that's the rib cage breathing. You can do as many as you'd like. You can do as many as your body needs. If you're feeling tension in your neck, your chest or shoulder, or your lower back, it means that your rib cage is still tight in those areas. When it's your lower back, it's the bottom of your ribs. When it's the sort of chest or front of your shoulder, then that means that it's the middle of your rib cage by your sternum. If it's the neck that's very tight, or the back of the neck here by the upper shoulder, it means that it's the top part of the ribs that have to open. However, you notice that when you take a breath, it always starts at the bottom of the ribs. So we still have to follow the same diagram in breathing. To get to here, you have to open here first. So just keep doing that. And you'll see little by little, with a little practice, you're gonna get better at controlling the breath. You're gonna get better at expanding and holding the air in your rib cage and relaxing and releasing some of that tension when you exhale, like a wave that releases, okay? So now the key to this is to understand to break down the breath into 4 parts. Inhalation's part 1, so that's where you try to lengthen that. See, I just did about a 2 or 3 second inhalation. Now I'm gonna hold it, that's part 2. So hold as long as I can. When I exhale, that's part 3. So letting the air out slowly, preferably through the nose, wherever you can. Once the air is gone, wait now. Part 4 is not breathing at all. Once the air is gone, don't breathe, just relax. Just let go to the pull of the earth with every muscle in your body, all the way to your feet, all the way to your hands. When you inhale again, you start to process again. Belly in, shoulders away, turn the palms open. Hold the air as long as you can, let it out as slow as you can. Once the air is gone, wait in that silence, that stillness for a little bit, and then start again. Repeat, rinse, repeat as many times as you can, all right? Now, once you've done the rib cage, you'll know it because your neck, chest, shoulder are gonna relax. Then you can go into the belly breathing, and we'll show that in another video. All right, guys? Talk to you soon.